In a world searching for meaning, few texts have shaped history, hearts, and human identity like the Bible. But beyond the verses and chapters lies a story, ancient, eternal, and alive. Welcome to Speed Reads, where we journey book by book through Scripture. Not in fragments, but as sweeping narratives rich with depth, drama, and divine design. Whether you're rediscovering these sacred texts or exploring them for the first time, each episode brings you closer to the heartbeat of the Bible, one book at a time. The book of Joshua marks a new chapter in the history of Israel. The wilderness wanderings are over, and the Israelites, led by Joshua, are on the brink of entering the Promised Land. Moses, who led the Israelites out of Egypt, has passed away, and now it is Joshua's responsibility to guide the people into their inheritance. Joshua's story is one of courage, faith, and obedience, and the book of Joshua is one of victory, conquest, and fulfillment of God's promises. The opening chapters of Joshua begin with God commissioning Joshua to take up the mantle of leadership after Moses' death. The Lord encourages Joshua to be strong and courageous, reminding him that God's presence will go with him, just as it did with Moses. God promises Joshua that every place he sets foot will be given to him, as it was promised to Moses. This divine assurance sets the tone for the entire book. The success of Israel in the Promised Land is contingent upon their obedience to God and their faith in his power. Joshua's first major task is to lead the people across the Jordan River. God miraculously parts the waters, just as he did at the Red Sea, allowing the Israelites to cross on dry ground. This event is a powerful reminder of God's continued faithfulness to his people. Once across the river, Joshua orders 12 men, one from each tribe, to take a stone from the riverbed and set up a memorial at Gilgal. This memorial is a reminder for future generations of the great thing that God had done, and it serves as a testament to his power and provision. With the crossing of the Jordan, the Israelites are now in the land that God promised to give to their ancestors. The first city they encounter is Jericho, a fortified city that stands as an obstacle between them and the full possession of the land. The Israelites are commanded by God to march around the city once a day for 6 days, and on the seventh day they are to march around the city 7 times, with the priests blowing trumpets. On the 7th time the people are to shout, and God will cause the walls of Jericho to fall down. The Israelites follow God's instructions to the letter, and the walls of Jericho miraculously collapse. The city is taken, and its inhabitants are destroyed, except for Rahab, a woman who had hidden the Israelite spies and helped them escape. Rahab and her family are spared, and they become part of the Israelite community, symbolizing the grace of God even for those outside of Israel. The fall of Jericho is a stunning victory, but it is followed by a tragic defeat at Ai. The Israelites, feeling confident after their victory at Jericho, attempt to take the smaller city of Ai but are routed by its inhabitants. Joshua is devastated, and he seeks God's guidance, only to discover that Israel's defeat is due to the sin of one of their own, Ai. Ai had taken forbidden spoils from Jericho, disobeying God's command to destroy everything in the city. This sin brings judgment upon Israel, and Ai and his family are punished by being stoned to death. Once the sin is dealt with, the Israelites are able to conquer Ai, and they renew their commitment to God. Joshua builds an altar to the Lord on Mount Ebal, where the Israelites reaffirm the covenant and recite the blessings and curses of the law. This act of worship symbolizes the people's continued dependence on God and their commitment to following his commands as they move forward in the conquest of the land. The next major event in Joshua's leadership is the alliance with the Gibeonites. The Gibeonites, fearing the Israelites, deceive them by pretending to be from a distant land. They ask for a peace treaty, and Joshua, without consulting God, agrees to their request. When the Israelites discover the deception, they are angered but honor their oath, and the Gibeonites are spared. This story serves as a reminder of the importance of seeking God's guidance in all decisions, no matter how trivial they may seem. After this, Joshua leads Israel in a series of military campaigns to conquer the southern and northern regions of Canaan. The Israelites fight and defeat various kings and their armies, and the land is gradually subdued. Throughout these battles, God is with Joshua, granting him victory after victory. The success of the Israelites is attributed to their obedience to God and their trust in his power. These conquests fulfill the promises that God made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and they lay the foundation for the nation of Israel in the Promised Land. As the land is divided among the 12 tribes of Israel, Joshua ensures that each tribe receives its inheritance according to God's command. The tribes are allotted their territories, and the Levites, who do not receive a territorial inheritance, are given cities in which to live. These cities are designated as cities of refuge, where those who accidentally kill someone can flee for protection until a fair trial is held. This provision reflects God's concern for justice and mercy. In his final speeches, Joshua exhorts the Israelites to remain faithful to God and to keep his commandments. He reminds them of all that God has done for them, delivering them from slavery in Egypt, leading them through the wilderness, and giving them victory over their enemies. Joshua challenges them to choose whom they will serve, the gods of their ancestors or the Lord, who has brought them into the promised land. He famously declares, "But as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord." Joshua's words are a call to commitment and loyalty to God, and the Israelites respond by renewing their covenant with God. They pledge to serve him alone, and Joshua records these words in the book of the law of God, setting up a large stone as a witness to their commitment. This stone stands as a reminder of the covenant, and it is a symbol of God's faithfulness and the people's responsibility to remain faithful to him. The book of Joshua ends with the death of Joshua at the age of 110. Before he dies, he is buried in the land of his inheritance, and the people continue to live in the land that God gave them. The book closes with a note about the faithfulness of the Lord, who kept his promises to the Israelites, and with a reminder that the people had received the land, just as God had sworn to give it to their ancestors. Thank you for joining this deep dive into the living story of Scripture. As we move through each book, remember, these ancient words are not just history, they're mirrors, windows, and signposts pointing us to something greater. If this journey stirred something in you, subscribe to Speed Reads and walk with us through every chapter of God's unfolding masterpiece. Until next time, stay curious, stay grounded, and keep reading the Word slowly or quickly.